Lucifer was the governor of our third plane of understanding. Before I go on, I'm going to go ahead and just have a side note for you. In the days before Christ, and actually in all the days of our lives, even unto the day of the day, we all live on three planes of understanding. We live on an intellectual plane, which is Yeshua's plane. We live on a spiritual plane, which is Yahweh's plane. And we live on a physical plane, which was originally Lucifer's plane. In other words, Lucifer was the governor of our physical plane. Yahweh is the governor of our spiritual plane. And Yeshua was the governor of our intellectual plane. But now the only entity we have in heaven right now governing us truly is our Father who art in heaven. That is it. For in the book of Revelation, when you study it logically, like I'm reading off these 3 chapters of Genesis to you logically, when you study the book of Revelation logically, you will see proof that Yeshua is the one who cast them out of heaven by popping those 7 seals. Do your research, my dear family. We can win this if we know what we got to fight with. I just want to read this story to you so you can know exactly what we have to fight with. Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. When the woman heard this truth, she began to question this government. Then went to the tree and saw that it was for good, for food, pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. But when she took a bite, her eyes opened and realized it was just a normal apple. She then took apples to Adam to eat, but he refused at first. The woman scorned him for weeks to eat of it, and finally he did eat. Verse 7. As both their eyes opened and realized what was really going on, they found discomforts in being naked and sewed fig leaves together for clothes. Verse 8. Then in the cool of day, or morning time, they heard the voice of Lucifer while she was walking in the garden. So Adam and his wife hid themselves from her presence in the trees of the garden. Verse 9. And Lucifer called unto Adam and said, Where art thou? Verse 10. And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked and hid myself. Verse 11 says, Verse 11, and Lucifer replied to Adam, asking, Who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten from the tree I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? It's pretty amazing, huh? Why was she so eager for them to not figure this out? It was a trick and it was a trap. Just the whole game the whole time. And you'll see why it was a game. For remember, earlier as I mentioned to you, Lilith could not produce sons. She couldn't produce sons. Lucifer didn't like that because there was no man to till the ground. Remember that. The Mother Holy Spirit Lucifer has been playing God over humanity since God's nucleation of the soul seed, plantation, then sprout from the dirt. For Lucifer influenced the tree of wisdom in the middle of the garden, as God nucleated the firmament in the middle of the seas. Notice the similarities with those? She wants to play God. She wants to step in front of him. She wants to be him. She wants us to look to her as she is our God. But in reality, no, bitch, no. No, you gotta go. We only need God. We are a naturally indigenous people. Obviously, I'm reading it right here. We are a naturally indigenous people. God is our government. The eternal, internal Father, Yahweh Allah Kai Dios, Yahja Khan Jehovah Ra, is our government. He is our government. We need to live how he wants us to live, in peace, love, unity, and advancement. Not in war, hatred, division, and stagnance like that evil ass bitch Satan do. Satan wants us to. Let's keep going. For Lucifer influenced the tree of wisdom in the middle of the garden, as God nucleated the firmament in the middle of his seas. And those seas that he nucleated the firmament in were simply just the 7 seas of the world without form and void, as darkness is upon the face of the deep, aka the darkness that is inside of Lucifer right now, making her do all this shit to us. Let's keep going though. Verse 12. And with Adam's eyes open to the truth, he responded to Lucifer, saying, "The woman who thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat." Verse 13. Then Lucifer turns to the woman and asks, "What is this? What is this that thou hast done?" And the woman said to Lucifer, "Lilith beguiled me, and I did eat." The word beguile defines as charm or enchant someone, sometimes in a deceptive way, and or help time pass pleasantly. Yo, this whole idea of the serpent wasn't really a serpent, it was actually Lilith. And the whole idea of beguiled, that means Lilith did a whole bunch of lesbian stuff to Eve in order to get her to eat that fruit. That's the whole story behind the beguile thing. Connect the dots faster, my people. When Lilith beguiled Eve in the garden to eat the fruit and realized it was just a normal apple, she really performed a whole bunch of lesbian stuff on her. Think about it. Lilith has a whole 4 towns of daughters. There were no men. There were no men. They were living like Amazons. That we did start off giant. Here's the reality. God just starts everything off really big. God starts everything off really big. They were big people back then. Those were some big girls. They were some really huge girls. They lived as Amazons. 4 towns. One of them was the river Euphrates. Verse 14. Then Lucifer turns to Lilith without even giving her a chance to speak and says, "Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life." And she turned Lilith's body into a serpent. You know what I find so odd about this is that, you know, at least God makes his reptiles with legs. Why Lucifer couldn't get Lilith legs? Why Lilith got to be on her belly? You know, why does all of Lilith's why does the snake have to be on his belly? It couldn't have legs. Nobody ever thought about that little tidbit right there. Anyway, let's keep going. Verse 15. Lucifer then turns to Adam and the woman and says, "I will put enmity between thee and thy woman, and between thy seed and Lilith's seed." The word enmity defines as the state of being actively hostile to someone or something. Kind of like what we got going on in the world today with our system, huh? We really need to indulge the spirit back into our world. Peace, love, unity, and advancement, family. It's the only reason why I'm making this video. Verse 16. To the woman alone she said, "I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and they desire, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee." Let's get one thing clear for a second. We don't need our women to really be in submission to us. We need them at our side as partners. Remember, they got the rest of our seed inside of them. We need that seed with us for our balance. Think about it. We don't necessarily need them to be in subjugation under us. We don't need them to be in front of us leading us. We don't need them to be above us conquering us like Lucifer was. And we don't need them to be behind us, rejecting us, neglecting us. Damn sure don't need that. We need our women at our side. That's what we need. At our side in cooperation, not beneath us in subjugation. Lucifer was the one that started the whole women be submissive thing.